Hole in a Box by C.S.R.
Chapter 23. A Night of Terror. When Marla reached Homins, it was nearing 5 a.m. She climbed into her bed, fretting falling asleep because she was afraid she would sleep in and get caught wearing her sundress to bed. Luckily, her insomnia kicked in, and Marla just lay in bed for the time being. Marla climbed down once she felt it was time. She looked at her dirty feet and realized she lost her shoes in Utridesma. She grunted and grabbed her red sneakers from the closet. All the other girls awoke and made comments about how her sneakers didn't match her dress. Marla just smiled at them and said,
Okay.
The day went by as any normal day would. Marla didn't get physically harassed throughout most of it, but she did freak out most of the children, because she drew pictures of monsters and didn't hide it. In fact, she was showing them. She didn't care. Marla was happy and finally at peace, and no one could bring her down. If anyone wanted to give her trouble, she was ready to fight back. And that aura she had about her intimidated the children, making them not want to start anything. When night came around, Marla eagerly changed into her yellow button-up pajamas. For some reason, before everyone went into his or her bedroom, Marla felt a strange presence come into the world. And not just one, but several. Marla walked by the closet and saw her red dress shoes placed next to the box. There was a note in them that read,
Thank you for the drawing. It was beautiful. Fafalo found it and gave it to me. He's still sulking about Kristen, but I'm sure he'll get over it with time. We will all see you tonight. Darlene.
Marla smiled and held the note to her chest. She climbed in her bed and heard a strange scratching noise the moment Miss Kelfer turned out the lights.
Who did that?
Miss Kelfer barked, hitting the switch again. She looked around the room, but all the little girls seemed just as surprised as she was. Miss Kelfer grunted and turned the light off again. But as soon as it got dark, they all heard the scratching noise. Once more, Miss Kelfer turned the lights on and yelled,
All right, this isn't funny. You ladies need to get to bed. Stop playing around.
But there was a low, shrieking noise this time that accompanied the scratches. The sounds gave everyone shivers except for Marla, because she knew exactly who the culprit was. Miss Kelfer inched deeper into the room, looking rather nervous. Suddenly, a clawed hand came from the hallway and turned off the light. Miss Kelfer and the children gave out a scream. They were all shrieking and running to her side. Just so she wouldn't cause suspicion, Marla joined them in the huddle. They all looked about nervously, and then saw Darlene's monstrous figure creep in front of them. She moved closer and closer, and as she did so, she moved more and more hair from her face until everyone could see what she looked like despite it being dark. They all screamed again and made their way past her to the hallway. They were accompanied by other children and caretakers who had run out of their room with fear of what was in it or surprise at the others screaming. Soon, all of them found themselves surrounded by monsters, all different and horrifying, or at least to some. Billy started screaming at Jarvis.
It's the monster! See? I told you! It's the monster!
Miss Kelfer started screaming.
Help!
Fafalo crept up behind her and said,
There's no help for mean, fat, old women like you.
Miss Kelfer started crying as Fafalo breathed in her ear.
What in the blazes is going on over here?
Mr. Cornwall yelled as he walked down the hall. Miss Adele cried out,
Father, they are monsters.
Don't make me laugh. There are no such things as monsters.
Mr. Cornwall stopped, and he felt Lewin's gloved fingers on his shoulders.
Oh, you don't say.
Lewin lowered his face next to Mr. Cornwall.
Jesus Christ!
He pulled away and fell on his buttocks in a panic. The halls were filled with a roar as Malsums crept up behind Ashley and Jessica and startled the two girls, along with everyone else. Jarvis went up to Daniel and Johnny and started saying obscene things like,
I'm going to eat your brains.
Or,
I wonder, how do you taste?
Charla snuck over to Jacob and touched him with her clammy hands and asked with her raspy voice.
Are you scared, little boy?
He screamed and jumped away from her. Then there was more panic as the children and adults started running around. The Smaragds started chasing them for sport. It was a madhouse. Left, right, all around there were running, screaming orphans being chased by monsters. Marla softly laughed to herself.
Well,
She began to think.
now they know what it's like to be afraid.
This charade had continued until the sun started rising, and all the children were led as far away from the bedrooms so that no one could tell that the Smaregs returned home through Marla's box. The staff locked themselves and the children into the cafeteria, as Marla suggested, and waited until the sun was in the sky to go amongst their day. Marla never received a gift before, but she had to admit that this was the best gift she could ever receive, and there was no gift that could ever top this one.